Good afternoon. Welcome to the afternoon session. Hi Vikrant. Hey Tatapi. Cool. So let others join the session. We'll add the photographs to the respective units. So the first one is from Nandini. Then it's Sri Ranga. So guys, type in your question if you have any. By that time I'll be just adding these photographs to the units. Hey Nandini, welcome to this afternoon session. Yeah, Pooja, lunch picture of Pooja. Tulika's lunch. Sweet potato also is there with the salad. Amazing pictures. Thank you guys. Vikrant. Vikrant, what is this 4 plus 4? With the difference of an R. Hey Tulika. Hi Sahana. That's it? No, this is Sahana's lunch. Beautifully chopped. Okay, 8 carrots you have kept, but I didn't see, I couldn't see all 8. Let me see that photograph. I see 4 carrots only, that's why the doubt was. So another 4 was hidden. So this is yesterday's, this is also yesterday's, so this is also yesterday's, this is today's. Ranga's lunch is beautiful, nicely chopped, grated properly, with mutter also. The green peas also is there. So Pooja, I don't think Pooja has joined yet, but Pooja, I think she adds walnut also. So I would recommend Pooja, if you are there, the walnut should be soaked in water before consumption, and try not to add with this. If it is soaked, then also it's fine, but definitely you should chew a lot. Mastication is must. Tulika's lunch is beautifully arranged also. I'm sure you take the sweet potato after you consume these, right? Vikrant. Then Sahana's broccoli, bell pepper, zucchini, and raw lettuce. Great. No salt, no pepper, no dressing. This is very important. So no extra efforts to enhance the taste. That makes sense. Awesome, guys. Awesome. So I think I have not missed anybody's lunch picks. This is okay. Okay, there is a pre-lunch snack, right? So let me add this in the lunch only. Sahana had strawberries, nice strawberries. Here in Agra, we don't get these ripened proper strawberries. Yeah, this one was Tathapis. Tathapi 25th 0101, so 0119, right. Great, guys. So let us switch over to our sessions. I think all have joined, only Pooja hasn't arrived yet. Pooja, now I see 8. So Pooja, Asha. So I see few questions. Yeah, Pooja is also there. So I see few questions also. So I'll take it after the silence. So let's have a 90-second silence and proceed to our session. Right, guys, good afternoon. Welcome to this afternoon session. And yeah, we are managing, ourselves, our physical health. So great going so far, and really awesome pictures, and we'll go through the pictures in the evening session minutely, and we'll discuss about that. And evening session, you must share your recipes also, and you can find out few recipes on few of the websites also. For example, wellcure.com is one site. We have partnered also with them a few days back. So you can go to wellcure.com, and there the recipe option you will find. There are a lot of recipes that you can search there. Wellcure.com, wellcure.com. And another site is akarma.life, akarma.life, akarma.life. So you can go to this site also, and that site may need registration to see the recipes. So you will find left navigation, and after logging in, a lot of recipes, and very healthy recipes, without salt, without oil primarily, without salt. Cooked foods are not there that much, but little bit of salt, that too rock salts. The natural salt should be added if it is unavoidable, otherwise salt is not needed as far as the body is concerned. Now let's get back to our business. So I see few questions related to the previous sessions, it seems. Nandini says, I have seen men having happy matrimonial lives with two wives living happily together with families. So here procreation is joint, isn't it? Yes, procreation is joint, but unfortunately, I must say a comment here that this commitment from the men's side, primarily from the men's side, is very unhealthy options for the men, because what is the reality is, men in these kind of scenarios do not involve themselves in the process of procreation effectively, and that's a negative thing for the men themselves. So it is being considered, unfortunately it is being considered that the female counterpart is the person who is directly responsible to nurture the baby and to support the baby in the process of growing up, which is the procreation. So out of this kind of maybe there are sociological reasons that male counterpart used to go out for earning the livelihoods and all those stuff, but whatever the reason may be, but the active involvement in the process of nurturing the baby is seen less by the male counterpart, and this is negative for the male counterparts only, because they deprive themselves from being active in the process of procreation. So this is food for thought for all the male people here in this group. So give it a thought that why not to be active member in the process of nurturing the baby? Why the female only be, right? So yeah, Nandini's example, those exist, but questionable definitely, whether it is really a wellness contributor or not. So here we are not talking about any ethics, Here we are not talking about the rules, disciplines and all those stuff. Here we are talking about the individual health and wellness. So for the male counterpart, I doubt if these kind of multiple procreation with multiple partner is healthy or not, because one cannot split himself. It is for the male. Right. So Asha is not eating today, having a bit of stomach upset since I ate out yesterday. Right, Asha, I understand. So Nandini says that I didn't feel like eating, so I have kept my salad aside. That's absolutely fine. Ranga, okay, right. So right guys, so we'll talk about fasting also today if time permits at the end of this session. So this is the next topic that we'll be covering today is the circadian cycle. Circadian. Circadian. Circa means around, dia means day. So around the day, how the activities can be segregated and placed to synchronize with nature, that hint is given in this recommendation. Now this circadian cycle is not a mandate. I repeat, circadian cycle is not a mandate which we are going to discuss here, but definitely it's a recommendation to sync our lives with nature more and more, and there are rationales behind it. Now when I talk about activities, we have lot of activities sketched throughout the days. Throughout the day we do lot of activities, and those activities can be categorized in the buckets of physical, physiological and psychological activities. Right. Now these activities, so physical activities are the activities which are consciously done. We choose to perform few activities, those are the physical activities. And few activities are, or rather many activities that we do beyond our conscious level. Involuntary activities, those happen on its own as an automated process, those are the physiological activities. Now the beauty of physical activity is we can largely influence many of the physiological activities. Say for example eating. Eating is a physical activity, but digestion assimilation is a physiological activity. Now if we better our eating pattern, then the digestion and assimilation gets better. Right. So that's how we can influence our physiological activities also. So physiological activity per se is hunger, then digestion, assimilation, then getting sleep, excretion, normal elimination, special elimination. All these are physical activities, and those happen in a programmatic way unless we block it, unless we suppress it. Nature has equipped these programmed. So by the way, nature doesn't have any intention, right? Nature, the intention is a human activity. Intention, that I intend to do something. Nature has got just program. It has got tendency. It doesn't have any intention. We need to understand that. So these physiological activities are those programmed activities by nature. Now those are perfectly sketched, perfectly designed for each and everyone, unless our lifestyle hinders those activities. So we need to be very careful about our lifestyle pattern as far as the conscious activities are done. So this particular exercise that we are doing in this course is bringing our awareness, bringing our consciousness to sync our life with nature. Now the third activity is definitely the psychological activities. So psychological activity is a bigger chunk out of these three. So the biggest chunk rather. So that depletes our vitality a lot, and on this aspect I must say, yesterday also I mentioned that if some specific food is attracting you, so I am taking this shallow example of food, if something attracting you to eat and you are suppressing that attraction, thinking that that food will cause innervation for me. So we often forget that this thought which I am suppressing, that also will innervate me. So which innervation is more, we need to judge it. So if you find that this innervation is more, that suppression requires lot of effort, then you should go for that food in a limited quantity. If intellectually you understand that that food is harmful for our body. So you should not put any kind of pressure or any enforcement on yourself to restrict you from that food, but you should go for lowering the quantity. That will reduce the overall innervation. Now there is a process of swaying this habit, this mind craving, mind attraction. So that swaying will happen on its own if you approach in a rational way, keeping the balance in the vitality conservation and consumption. Right. So thought is an area which depletes our vitality like anything. Now those three activities, physical, physiological and psychological, are major three buckets. Now let's change the terms a little bit. All those activities that we will be doing, but we will be changing the buckets little bit. What are those buckets? 3 R's: receiving, repairing and releasing. These are primarily the physiological activities, but there is a physical conscious involvement can't be denied in these three activities. So as far as the food assimilation is concerned, so these are three activities, primary three activities. Now this can be compared with any kind of repair work or construction work that you may have seen in our day-to-day life. For example, in this carpentry factory, suppose the receiving of the raw material is the first order of the work that we do. Then after raw material, we start doing the repair work, right? So post repair work, whatever the scrap comes out of the work, that gets thrown away. So the receiving of the raw material, then doing the repairing work and then throwing the scrap. This is the right order, right? So circadian cycle actually will propose three types of categories of the work as far as the predominance is there. So the first rationale of ordering this in this pattern: why receiving first, then repairing, then releasing? Because rationally if we evaluate, the repairing cannot happen without the raw material, and without repairing, the releasing of scrap material cannot happen. So these three activities cannot be placed other than this order: receiving, repairing and releasing. So the order rationale is the first rationale of these three activities. So in our body also the things work in the similar fashion. The receiving of the input matters is the first thing. After receiving the input matters, the body actually needs some preferences as far as the activities are concerned to do its own work internally. And after it finishes its own work, all the scrap material that comes out of those activities of repairing needs to be thrown away. So the body also can be compared according to these three activities, right? Now we understood these three activities. Now let's see how the circadian cycle can be sketched. Now the circadian cycle is distributing this 24 hours of the day, 24 hours of the day in 3 8-hour pi. So 3 pi's of 8 hours make this 24 hours. So these 3 pi's are from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. is one, then 4 a.m. to 12 noon another, and then 12 noon to 8 p.m. is another. So this way there are 3 8 hours. So 8 hours, 8 hours, 8 hours. Now the order is same. The receiving, repairing and releasing. So this order, rationale of the order is understood. So in circadian cycle we require two rationals. One is the order, why this order. Then the second rationale is why these things are put in certain time frame, right? I am coming to the second rationale now. Now from 12 noon to 8 p.m. this slot 12 noon to 8 p.m. is the highest ambient temperature and light. The highest ambient temperature and light. And during that period, our body, the hypothalamus, works to adjust with the body temperature and the ambient temperature. So the body temperature is maintained. We have a thermostat here. So that works to maintain the body temperature at 37.1 degree centigrade on an average. This is the normal temperature. So body tries hard to maintain this temperature. Irrespective of the ambient temperature, our body temperature remains the same. Now if the ambient temperature is too low, then body needs to work hard to hike the temperature, hike the body temperature. So that way body needs to spend a lot of vitality. Now this 8-hour frame of 12 noon to 8 p.m. is the highest in ambient temperature. Now when it is highest in the ambient temperature, irrespective of the geographic location, because our timeline is adjusting with that, and also irrespective of the climatic season. So this time frame is the highest of that day. This time frame is the highest ambient temperature of that particular day. Now highest temperature facilitate us to conserve vitality in terms of maintaining the body temperature. The highest ambient temperature helps us in conserving vitality in terms of maintaining the bodily temperature. When that happens, then we end up conserving vitality a lot during this time frame. And with that extra conserved vitality can be used in assimilating, digesting process. So eating during this time frame is a wise decision. So most of the eating, if you can do in this time frame, that actually conserves a lot of vitality. That gets helped with the conserved vitality. So you need not to spend more vitality in the process of digesting. So the eating is recommended in this time frame primarily. If other than this time frame you are eating, you feel hungry, then it is recommended to have fruits only, nothing other than fruits. So that too very less dense fruits are recommended other than this time frame, because we need to remember that higher the density, higher the consumption of vitality in the process of digestion, right. So this is the second rationale of the circadian rhythm. Okay, Nandini gets a lot of connection disturbance, it seems, but she is back now. Yeah. So now this particular 8 hours has got that rationale of placing receiving in this 8 hours. So once you have put this receiving at this place, you don't have any other option other than putting the repairing in the second slot here. And then after repairing, definitely it should be releasing. This is understandable, but the beauty of nature's synchronization is it has got its own rationale also. The time frame of 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. The time frame of 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. is the least in ambient temperature. When there is no ambient light and least ambient temperature, body doesn't work to interact with the nature, with the outside world. It wants to work internally to resolve its own problem, in its own all the things to be sorted out to bring back and maintain the homeostasis. So most of the repairing work, most of the health problems that we suffer from gets resolved in this time frame, 8 p.m. to 4 a.m., whatever the health problem it may be. So all the hard toxins are broken down during this period of time, and that those kept ready, those toxins, after breaking down, after liquidifying, it is kept ready to expel for the next slot of time. A tremendous order is playing in this fashion within us. So starting from 4 a.m. to 12 noon is primarily the releasing time, because the repairing is done. Now the waste matters are ready to get expelled. So that's how it works. Now here one reminder I must share with you, that these are the predominances we are talking about. So there should not be any enforcement of this syncing. You need to take it very easy, and slowly and gradually you need to sync with this cycle. You should not put any pressure on you to sync with this cycle. So for example, if you are very much hungry after 8 p.m., so you should not put any pressure on you not to eat. If you are getting a pressure, low pressure at midnight 12, you should go and release that pressure. So there should not be any kind of enforcement here, because we need to understand any enforcement goes against the vitality conservation. Any kind of enforcement, that is why we talk repeatedly that no ethical burden, no discipline burden, no rule burden. It is just understanding, using our reasoning capability, and building a knack, building a framework in the life, so that gradually we become more and more synced with nature. It cannot happen overnight. Just we need to increase our awareness about syncing with nature. That's the whole objective of this course, to create a kind of framework within us, right? So this is what is circadian cycle, and I would request you, if you have any question, then I can wait for some time for your question, and then we'll switch to the next topic. Okay, Sahana says, I was waking up at 5:30 without alarm. My cycle changed and I am unable to wake up till 7 a.m. and am sleeping excessively for 9 hours. How do I gradually change it? So by working on the sleeping time, not waking time. Waking time should be just evolved. So it should not be enforced. Waking time, use of alarm Use of alarm, you will be able to correlate with the personal one-to-one session also, where we discussed about this with each and everyone, that alarm, whether putting an alarm is healthy or not. It is not at all healthy, irrespective of the fact you are using the alarm or not. You need to understand this, because the moment you put an alarm, there is an alarm at your mind, so that gets ticking. And that is the reason in many of the cases we see that before the alarm we get up, because our mind is ticking. Even if the quality sleep happens or not, we get up before the alarm most of the time. So putting alarm is absolutely unhealthy. So don't use alarm clock unless it is very much emergency, alarm clock of your mobile or otherwise. Now, how to change this pattern, as Sahana asked? It is to work on the sleeping time. You need to bring your sleeping time as close as possible to 9 p.m. As close as possible to 9 p.m. And you should not keep any gadget in your bedroom. You should holistically give this message to yourself that bedroom is for sleeping. So the moment you enter the bedroom and go in the bed, you should feel sleepy. That kind of conditioning you have to do for yourself. So having any gadget in the bedroom gives the message that bedroom can be utilized for being awake also. So there will not be any sleep problem if you can condition yourself through this way, that the bedroom is for sleeping only, and that place of bed is not for reading, is not for watching movies, is not for doing other things like chit-chatting or eating. It is for sleeping. So that kind of notion will be very effective for your mind, and try and prepone your bedtime as much as possible, and don't put any pressure on you to get up. When you get up, get up. If you feel that you are sleeping long, that means your body requires that repairing. It is working on the toxemia more and more. During the sleep, maximum of the repairing happens. So acknowledge it. Sleeping is the most important curing mechanism that we can offer to our body. So never regret for oversleeping. Sleep as much as you can. Just prepone your sleeping time, and that will sync your sleeping quality with the nature, and gradually and progressively you will find that the physical hour of sleeping will be very less with a high quality of sleeping. And that's absolutely possible. So if you can opt sleeping from 9 p.m. to 12 midnight, that's the best time for sleeping, because it is the darkest hour. It is the darkest hour of the day, and that darkest hour gives you the most quality sleeping. So initially you may get overslept, but slowly and gradually you will find the physical hour is reducing, and with just 4 to 5 hours of sleep will be enough refreshing for the whole day, right? Okay, Asha says, with my son, when he is on high raw diet, he sleeps more. What time do you sleep and wake up, Kalyanji? Okay. Okay, so first question is, Asha, this correlation may be unfounded. If he sleeps more, he needs sleep. So let him sleep. And the raw food, if the raw food is letting him sleep more, that's good for him. So he is working from inside to get the things done there, right? So Asha, what time I sleep is irrelevant, definitely, but I can share. I try to sleep before 9 p.m. for sure. It's closer to 8 p.m. most of the days. because by 8 p.m. it's very troublesome for me to keep my eyes open. And wake up is again, I don't put any pressure. I don't put any pressure on me when I should wake up. So sometime even I wake up at 12:30 and I am absolutely fresh, and after waking up I mostly stay on the bed for another hour. So that way I think a lot in the bed. Is a kind of, you can term that it's a meditative state at that point in time, but it's very blissful and ecstatic state I enjoy. And when I am confirmed that it is, I am fresh enough, then okay. Siri got activated, I don't know how. So so I was talking about that. So I gauge my freshness, then I get up from the bed. So sometime it may happen at 1:30, at 2:30, but largely I am up by 3 a.m. So yeah. So school children should sleep earlier even when they may be wide awake and not sleepy at bedtime. See, feeling sleepy at the bedtime is a kind of conditioning that we actually condition our biological clocks. So if we inculcate the habit of sleeping early, then in few days your children will find themselves sleepy in the early evening, and that's what the nature's indication. All the organisms in this universe, they sleep quite nearing to the time of sunset. So after the sun sets, the body doesn't need to interact with the external world. It wants to do the internal aspects. The growth and the repairing both happens during the sleep the most. We need to understand that. So Sahana says, I have had to use alarm when I have classes due to excessive sleep. Earlier, I did not have to do that. Earlier, I did not have to do that. So now if you prepone your sleeping time, your bedtime, if it is preponed, then you will again find that you don't need alarm at all. Right? Right, guys. So I think we must continue in this session itself, unlike the previous one. So for the next session as well, next topic as well. So if you need a bio break, we can go for a bio break. It's 3:11, so it's not 1 hour even. So let's proceed. What do you say? I need a response from each one of you. Y for you need a bio break, N for you don't need a bio break. So Nandini doesn't need, Tulika doesn't need, all are fresh enough. Asha doesn't need, great. Pooja doesn't need, Asha doesn't need, Sahana doesn't need. So majority wins. I don't need other polls. So great. So we'll proceed. The next topic. So everybody is saying that we can proceed. Great. We are in sync. I am also saying we should proceed. So next topic is very interesting topic, the raw story and the solid food. The raw story. Why we eat raw? That's a perennial question actually, and you should equip yourself with this answer for yourself first. Then you can respond to the people, those who ask it. Don't go and convince people to eat raw unless they ask it. So you should reach out to the seekers to help, not to any because your helping initiative will go in vain. So that should be understood very clearly, right? So the raw story. Oh, a lot of writings, lot of board works today. Wait. Raw story. So raw stands for radiation, air and water. R A W. R A W. So the raw story talks about the fundamental requirement of organisms. The fundamental requirement of the organisms, all the organisms on this planet and largely of the galaxy and the universe, has got some fundamental units of the body. And you have all studied the food chain in school in biology, right? So you will be able to correlate with that. Now the organisms are of two types. Organisms are of two types. One is autotrophs and other is heterotrophs. One is autotrophs and other is heterotroph. Now autotrophs, so this is TROPH, autotrophs, and this is heterotrophs. So this word, if you can splitting this word, you will find auto and troph. Auto means self and troph means nutrients. So the organisms which can produce their own nutrients within their body are called autotrophs. So in simple word, the organisms, those who can produce their own food, they have inbuilt kitchen inside to produce their own food, are called autotrophs. So the requirement of the body is met by themselves. So what they do? They actually assimilate RAW. They assimilate RAW, radiation, air and water. They assimilate with the help of soil. So autotrophs definitely is the plant kingdom. The plant kingdom is the autotrophs, the kingdom of autotrophs. They can produce their own food. So how do they do this? They assimilate radiation, they assimilate air and they assimilate water. And in the morning we studied about the osmosis process. Through the osmosis process, the plants do get water through the roots from the soil. With the help of soil, this osmotic process brings the water for their kitchen. And from the air is assimilated, and from radiation, from the solar radiation primarily, they absorb the solar radiation. So having these three things together, they integrate So integration happens. So integration of RAW happens there. So we need to understand this very categorically. Integration of RAW happens within the plants and they produce the food. So the mango that you eat is nothing but an integrated form of RAW that we eat, right? Now let's talk about the heterotrophs. Heterotrophs are the dependent organism for their trophs, nutrients. So they depend on others for their nutrients, trophs. Hetero, others, troph, nutrients. So these organisms, they directly or indirectly depend upon the autotrophs, including us. We are also heterotrophs. So these heterotrophs, they actually get RAW plus they have solid food too. Now this solid food may come directly from autotrophs or from some via to them. Depending upon the structure of the body in terms of the anatomy and in terms of the chemical structure, heterotrophs choose their food. Now mankind is a great structure. We actually survive with all kind of food that we eat, but the best suitable food according to our structure, anatomical structure and chemical structure, which is quite similar to the chimpanzees who largely are on the fruits, we also should be that. So we are frugivorous by our structure, our digestive tract structure, our anatomical structure, our jaw structure, our teeth structure, everything depicts that we are frugivorous comparing with the frugivorous animals such as chimpanzees. Now we do need RAW directly and we need a support of solid food also to meet our requirements of the body, metabolic requirement of the body for the anabolic process, right? We understood the metabolism, anabolism and catabolism. Anabolism is building up of the cells, catabolism is breaking down of the cells. So for the anabolic reason, we need these inputs. So our inputs are these four things. So today is the Day and we focus on RAW and solid food. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So these four requirements are the requirements of the input requirements of mankind, right? Now, okay, mushroom, I don't know this. Sahana, I don't know this, if mushroom is heterotrophs or not. I need to refer this. Do you have any idea? So let's ask Google for that. Let's find it out. Good question. Autotrophs. Let me ask if it is autotroph. Yeah, let's check it, whether they produce their food or not. So autotrophs use energy from sunlight in organic or inorganic, we also ingest their reproductive structure. Are mushroom heterotroph or autotrophs? The YouTube. Is there any Cora? Yeah, there is a answer. It's a fungi definitely, but whether it is autotroph or heterotrophs, we need to check this. So the study.com needs subscription. Cora. Okay, so it says that it is not an autotroph. So it seems it is not an autotroph. Fungi are heterotrophs due to their reliance on autotrophs for the available energy all life forms need to sustain themselves as a living organism. So here goes the answer. It is heterotrophs. No photosynthesis happens. So if the photosynthesis, that's the answer. So I didn't focus on that aspect earlier about mushrooms. So I don't personally eat mushrooms. Earlier I used to eat, but now since last few years I have not taken. So okay, here comes the natural farmer Nandini. My salad has mooli today, which I did not enjoy as it was strong. I do not enjoy eating raw salad. Can we have veggie stuff in a small amount? Why not? You should steam and try it out, because many of the vegetables that if you apply little bit of heat, steam rather, then it is not a taste enhancement. It is not a kind of intentional taste enhancement with additives. So we'll talk about that in a while. So right guys, coming back to our RAW and solid food. So what happens? We need ultimately RAW. From the solid food also, what do we do? Solid food, after consumption, we do a disintegration. We do a disintegration, then we reintegrate some portion, very tiny little portion, and we expel or excrete the rest of the portion. So if this was A, this is B, this is C, definitely A equals to B plus C, and B is much less than C less than A. This is the relation of disintegration, reintegration and excretion for a matured person I am talking about. For a child, it will be little higher on the side of B, because the assimilations will be more than in terms of the excretion, not excretion, but in terms of a matured person, right? So this happens for the solid food. Now let's see how it works for a mango. You get a mango, you need to consider this as mango. Oh, I'll have a green leaf. So this mango, when you consume, you actually do a disintegration. And then you do a reintegration for the body cells. So this becomes body cells, and this is the catabolic action of digestion, of breaking down the food. And this was an integrated RAW. This is nothing but integrated RAW, the mango, right? Now when we do the disintegration and reintegration, necessarily the food or the RAW goes for 3 steps: 1, 2 and 3. 1, 2 and 3. Now let's see if we take this mango to a factory. Now in the factory they do a disintegration first, and post disintegration they reintegrate with chemicals and all, and they prepare a mango jam. A mango jam. Now when we have that mango jam, we also disintegrate it. And then we reintegrate in our body cells. So here in total we see the first integration of RAW, then disintegration at factory, and then reintegration at the factory, then we get a product there, then we do the disintegration, then we do the reintegration. So you see the chain is longer here: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So longer the chain, the process becomes complex because lot of steps are involved. This is dialectically understandable. When that is there, then who takes the toll? Our vitality. Nobody but our vitality. So here, if suppose in this first case, if we call this as case 1, and then this is as case 2, then we will find the vitality needed in case 2 is much higher than vitality needed in case 1, right? This is understandable? So I don't need to explain that which is a better food for our conservation of vitality, because the objective is a single: vitality conservation, right? Let's have another case as non-veg food. So here we'll be having a chicken. You need to consider this as chicken, and chicken will have grains. So this grain is the integrated RAW. Now after having the grains, the chicken do a disintegration. Then chicken is also an organism as similar to us, as similar in terms of the living organism. Then they also reintegrate that food into their body cells. Then the chicken is killed. So I am not going any ethical way now. If we need to eat it, then we should eat it. But do we need it? If we need to eat it, we should eat it. But the question is, do we need it or can we eat it? We cannot eat a raw chicken. We can never eat a raw chicken because it is not tasty. The voice of the organism never supports it. If it would have been supporting, we would have had that. Simple. So what do? We take that to kitchen. Now in the kitchen, we further disintegrate it. We chop it. Then we reintegrate it. And then we name it as chili chicken, butter chicken, whatever. And then that reintegrated form of chicken we consume and we disintegrate it. And then further we reintegrate it into our body cells. Right? Now let's count the steps. The first, reintegration. Then it becomes chicken. Inside the chicken it is second, third step. Then in the kitchen it is fourth and fifth step. Then it is mankind. It is sixth and seventh steps. So total 7 steps. So I don't think that I need to explain further that why we should not eat this way of cooked food. So that chicken can be actually changed to some other thing also. There also the steps will be at least 5. You can do it yourself. I have given you the framework. Take any food, just back calculate how many steps were involved to get that food at that point in time, at that point of the stage. Right? So this is what is the raw story, and this explains that why we should eat raw more and more. Right, guys? So that's the raw story, and here I must tell you that other than the raw food I am talking about, we should take as much as possible RAW directly, and that will conserve a lot of vitality because we are equipped to absorb those as well. So the radiation, air and water, these 3 things are available in abundance, and radiation and air can be absorbed without feeling irritated. So as much as outside staying possible is better for us in terms of radiation and air. And in terms of water and the solid food can be combined. So if you opt raw food, then you have 80% of the water, which is the purest water. You need not to bother for RO or what kind of mountain water, from where we'll get the mountain water. So all those stuff, because mountain water is considered as the best water. Right. So with this, I'll conclude this particular session, and we'll resume in another 5 minutes after taking a break, and we'll go through the quality indicators of other all RAW and the solid food. By that time, if you have any question, you can put, and we'll not have any silence now. We'll have at the concluding time at 4:30 after the next session gets over. So we'll conclude this session and we'll rejoin in 5 minutes time. Now it is 3:38. We'll assemble back at 3:43. Thank you. Okay, by that time, any question? Many parents find raw cow milk tasty. Is the voice of the organism of of the organism at work. Okay, so let me take this question. Now see, the milk has got a different analogy altogether. Number one, the milk is a customized food for the baby in the womb. Matter ends. Without the baby in the womb, milk cannot be produced, and it is a customized food like your fingerprint, because the milk production starts with the conception. With the conception, that milk production is mapped with the baby in the womb. So I am not talking about the interspecies milk only, I am talking about the intraspecies milk also. It is not needed. So I cannot have my aunt's milk. I should have my mother's milk only. So there is no question about the cow milk at all. Cow milk is for cow's baby. It is customized for that. My vitality will be depleted if I happen to take cow milk. That's for sure. Because it is not customized for me. The taste, what Asha raised, that it seems to be tasty, but that seems to be tasty a lot of things. We can just give the excuse of voice of the organism that way. It is not a natural abundant food. It cannot be termed as natural food. It is absolutely artificial for us if it is not customized for me. For me, it is not customized, so it is not my milk. No matter how organic it is termed, no matter how domestic it is termed, milk is not our food at all. There is no argument at all. Just because we had to take milk, and we take milk sometime, like many of us may do, I'm not sure, but if that happens, that's a personal choice. Right? We need to understand this very dialectically, because this is my health and my wellness and my vitality. Why should I deplete it unnecessary, putting a garbage just because it is tasty? Mango jam is also tasty, right? But it is artificial. Milk is also artificial for me if it is not made for me, because it's a long customization which mothers do internally, physiologically. So this is not our food. There is no argument on that at all. Thank you. So we'll reassemble now at 3:46. Okay, another question. Okay, I'll take up all the questions, then we'll go for a break. Is honey also have some concept to not to take like cow milk? Yes. So honey is again a processed substance. Honey is also a processed substance. It is not natural, as we claim sometime. It is a natural sweetener. It is not natural sweetener, because the bees, they collect the nectar from the flowers and they process it. They process it and make honey as their own food, which we snatch. So that's ethical issue. I'm not going that way at all. Just I am limited on the aspect of vitality conservation. So the honey cannot conserve vitality if we compare dates with honey, or for that matter jaggery with honey, if it is a mechanical jaggery. Just putting heat, if we form the jaggery, so that is better than the honey. Honey is a highly customized processed food by the bees, for them. By the bees, for the bees. Right? So you must watch this movie, The Bee, I think. If I am not wrong, the title, it's The Bee. Right guys, so now it's 3:42. So we'll assemble back at 3:47 for the next session. Thank you.